Giga ovens and then the remaining mecha cell. So I was wondering how that's progressing and when that might expect to be finished.
Okay, I'll take that. So far, we've still only got 4 filled. We've been working on some very difficult tries, I guess you see. We've gone back to try to get another pure ice sample or a very ice-rich sample. And you may remember we've had some problems in the past with the ice almost welding itself to the inside of the scoop. So we've been working through some difficulties. I think now we're still pretty optimistic we can fill all 4 before we run out of power, at least 3 to be sure. So I'm still pretty optimistic. We're going to get at least 3, if not all 4 of those ovens filled before we're done.
The situation with Mecha is a bit different. We have successfully delivered soil to each of our 4 wet chemistry cells. However, one of them, the soil is in a pile on top of the funnel, and we didn't manage to get it into the cell. That was the one from a deep trough between the polygons. So what we have successfully done is taken a depth profile in the center of the polygons. We have not successfully sampled the region between it. We're looking at that. We're seeing if there's any way we can recover that cell and do something with it, but we may well run out of sunlight before we figure out how to do that. With our microscopy, we had 10 sets of substrates to work with. We will, if all goes well, within 24 hours have word of the final delivery. Now that includes 2 of the substrates that were set aside to collect samples just falling from the air. So we have gone through all those substrates. Again, if there's something else interesting to look at, we can find a substrate that's not too full of material to reuse. But we've certainly gone through the whole palette that we came to Mars intending to use.
Okay, we'll now take a question from Sally Rail of the Planetary Report. Sally?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we have you.
Hi. I think this is. Thank you. This is for Barry. You had mentioned. I wasn't clear on this. Is it possible that you can resurrect Phoenix for more research after the Martian winter? Did I?
Well, it's theoretically possible. The vehicle is designed to have what we call a Lazarus mode, where after the vehicle loses all of its energy and the batteries are completely depleted, the sun will come up and actually recharge the vehicle after the long Martian winter. While that's theoretically possible, I don't believe that there's anybody on the engineering team that really feels that this will happen. No doubt in the probably October timeframe of 2009 we may go listen, but I don't think it's very likely. There are too many things working against us in that regard. The temperatures are going to drop. Jim had showed the curve of how low the temperature is getting now. It's going to get a lot colder pretty soon, and then we're going to lose the sun for 3 months straight and then have very little for quite some time. We're going to face a couple of problems. As the ice builds up on the solar rays, we may be seeing the solar rays crack, if not fall off. We're going to go through what we call a glassification temperature, where the material around the circuit boards gets so brittle that they turn into a glass-like material and actually crack. And for those of you who've dropped your cell phones, you'll know what I mean. When printed wire arm boards crack, the instruments don't work very well. So it's very unlikely it's going to work, but we'll sure give it a try.
And we will now take a question from David Perlman from the San Francisco Chronicle. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, hi, people. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. I hope you can hear me. I just have one quick question following up on Barry's comments about the resurrection, and then I'd like to ask Peter a question quickly. On Barry, could you give us the maximum and minimum temperatures that were on that chart? I cannot read them on a TV here, and maybe other folks are having the same difficulty. And then for Peter, I would like to know the significance of the perchlorates other than as an energy source for potential microbial life.
Okay, well, I think you were referring to the hours of daylight. There were no temperatures on that chart, so what that chart was really showing is the number of hours or minutes per sol that the sun was above the horizon illuminating or potentially illuminating the solar arrays. With regard to what the temperature extremes might be, I would defer that question to Peter or to Jim or somebody who knows better about the expected temperatures in the wintertime.
Want to answer that, Jim? Okay. So around the time of the winter solstice, when Phoenix definitely won't be operating and will be covered in CO2 ice, the temperature will be well below negative 120 degrees Celsius, negative 150.
Okay, I can answer the question about perchlorate. Perchlorate is quite an interesting subject. There's quite a lot of literature about it in the chemistry literature. It's, of course, used for an oxidizer on solid rockets. The space shuttle uses, I think, ammonium perchlorate in its solid rocket boosters. So perchlorate is used quite a lot in industry. It's also in known if you mix perchlorate with water and then freeze it, you can lower the freezing point of water down to temperatures as low as minus 60, minus 70 centigrade. So that leaves some interesting questions in your mind. If water did flow in places on Mars that have even small amounts of perchlorate, it might get concentrated in low areas where it might pool together. And if that were to be the case, then you could certainly form brines. Now, whether we have brines at our landing site is a matter of discussion, but we have not seen them with our robotic arm and the cameras on the spacecraft. So let's see. Other properties, it's useful to microbes. Microbes use it for an energy source, and I think there's a whole lot of other chemistry that I'm not very much aware of. So it's a very interesting material to find on Mars, and I'm sure there'll be lots of intense research into what it might mean to Martian science.
We'll now take a question from Alan Fisher from the Tucson Citizen. Go ahead, Alan.
This is for Dr. Boynton. Please, Dr. Boynton, you mentioned earlier that there are 4 ovens left and that you've had some difficulty getting the ice